This is about two mice that they were being chased by a cat all around the house, and the cat was getting really, really close. And all of a sudden, one of the mice turned around, looked at the cat, and goes, "Ruff, ruff, ruff." The cat gets scary, it's spooked, and runs away. So the mouse turned to the other mouse and said, "What did I tell you? It pays off to have a second language." So I want to talk to you today about investing in yourself. You see, I was realizing that the difference between where we are and where we want to be, at the end of the day, is what we know. This is amazing because basically, if we want to be somewhere else, sometimes we need to know something else. We are not still there because we don't have the information on how to get there. I was reminded one that, to start your car, you don't need many keys. You need the right key. That's all you need. So sometimes if we are not doing as well as we want in our relationships, in our business, sometimes in our health, it's because there is something there that we don't know, because we know that there are so many people that they are doing great, fantastic in those areas, and it's more likely because they know something that you don't know. So what brings me to the realization that sometimes we don't really have problems. What we have are wisdom problems. There was a character in the Bible that it was famous for his wisdom, and that is King Solomon. But if you go to the first book of Kings, I believe it's chapter 3, you can read a very interesting story that happened to King Solomon. And I remember this very well because I was taught this story in elementary school back in Argentina, and I was fascinated with King Solomon ever since. So what happened is God visited Solomon in a dream, and it was, it was almost like a TV show when God put different options for Solomon, and he had to choose one. So basically God said, Solomon, what do you want? Do you want riches? Do you want a long life? Do you want glory? Do you want me to get rid of your enemies? Ask me, whatever you want, I will give it to you. And Solomon says, I don't want any of that. What I want is wisdom. And we were thinking, I remember the conversation that we had with my classmates back then, and we kind of tried to play the same game. If somebody asks you, what do you want? I will give you whatever you want. Remember, we were little kids, elementary school, and one would say, I would like a motorcycle. And the other one said, I want a big house. Another one said, I would like an airplane. I said, but nobody really said wisdom back then. But Solomon said, if there is one thing that I want from you, God, is wisdom. And God said to Solomon, because you ask wisdom, I'm going to give you riches, long life, glory, and I will take care of your enemies. And I don't really believe that God really gave that to him. It is because he got wisdom. Solomon got wisdom. He could figure out how to get riches, how to get health, long life, how to get rid of his enemies. You see, sometimes I believe that we go through life and we have no idea how to take care of certain things. And sometimes what we need is wisdom. You see, I was thinking, I have in my pocket here, this is quite interesting, because sometimes it makes me crazy. I have all these keys to go around in the building, right? This one, if I remember properly, this is for the office area. And this one here is for my office. This one here will open the chapel and the sanctuary, right? And if I use the wrong key, sometimes I'm so tired, I use the wrong key, it hurts my hand. It's incredible. There is one guy who works here. His name is Bill Croydon. He's the big boss of maintenance. All he has is one key. He goes around with one key. He can open all the doors he wants. And he can lock every door he wants. So while I have this bulky thing on my pocket that when I did the lane will actually hurt my leg, I'm thinking that all I need is actually one key, which is called the master key. Well, I believe that that's exactly what Solomon discovered when he got wisdom, because wisdom is the master key from life. When you have wisdom, you realize that you don't need multiple keys. All you need is that master key that it will take you through different things in life. Now, don't get me wrong, because Solomon got wisdom, but it doesn't mean that he had a very smooth life from there on. In fact, believe me, Solomon knew failure big time. But, as we all say, we learn from our mistakes. But you know what? That's the slow way of learning. The best way of learning and the fast way of learning is from somebody else's mistake. I don't know about you, but I prefer to learn from somebody else's mistakes than from my mistakes. And in order to do that, we have to study. We have to invest in ourselves, and we have to get familiar with other people's mistakes so we can get wisdom out of that. You see, when Rabbi Matthew and myself, when we studied to become rabbis, and Matthew, you probably remember that, Rabbi Blaine, our mentor, he spent big part of the classes talking about his own mistakes so we won't make them when we become rabbis. And I didn't realize at the time how lucky we were that we could have somebody to mentor us in the rabbinic area so we won't make those mistakes. When I want to learn something new in my life, sometimes the first thing I do is I go to YouTube and I watch videos. And my favorite videos to watch about something is those whose titles begin with 5 most common mistakes rookies make. Because that will save me a lot of time. It's not that I'm not going to learn it. I'm probably eventually going to learn that, but after making the mistakes. But I don't like making mistakes. I prefer to learn it from somebody else. And that's why we read the Torah every week in the synagogue. So we can learn from somebody else's experience. We can get wisdom for everything that happens in the weekly parsha. Because the Torah has 2 components. One are the mitzvot, which are great. The mitzvot are great. But the mitzvot, the commandments, basically, most of them, what they do is to prepare your soul for the olam haba, for the afterlife. But then you have the principles from the Torah that what they are trying to do is to give you the wisdom to make your life in this world easier. And that's why we keep reading the Torah again and again and again, so we can expand our wisdom and we can have a better life here in this world. We just sang the prayer, Unetane Tokef. That he said, who by fire, who by water, who by sword, who but so many things, so many who's. But the thing is, sometimes we believe that Unetane Tokef is talking about ways that we are going to die. I don't think so. I think that Unetane Tokef is also talking about ways we are going to live. Sometimes we live in a life that it looks like we are going through fire. Sometimes we live such life that we feel that we are drowning. Do you have the wisdom to navigate that? To go through fire and not getting burned? To go through water and not drowning? And I believe we can all find that wisdom in our Torah. But in order to do that, we have to invest in ourselves and dedicate time in this new year to study all those principles to make our lives a better life. I realize that if you want tomorrow to be different of today, you have to do something today that it will make tomorrow different. If you don't do that, then you shouldn't call it tomorrow, because all what it's going to be is a longer today. So as we enter to a new year, 5781, if you want the new year to be different from this last year, you have to do something different. And my challenge for you today is that thing different should be to invest in yourself so you can expand your wisdom. So you will be closer to have that master key that can open all the right doors in life. And it can shut airtight all the wrong doors. You can lock right there with wisdom the doors of fear, discouragement, racism, xenophobia, all those doors, and you can open the doors of joy, the doors of encouragement, and the doors of fulfilling our own dreams. May you get wisdom this year so you can have a way better 5781 than it was 5780. Thank you so much for listening.